friends, welcome back to my channel. Sas here. I'm here to do another review of Killing Eve. Another fantastic episode. Great writing, great storytelling, great acting. I mean, the women on this show is fantastic. I see why Sandra Oh won that Emmy. But the girl that plays Valinelle, I mean, she's just amazing. It's just fantastic. Let's get into it. All right, let's start off by talking about Valinelle. Okay, she's at this, I think, museum or some type of building, and she comes across this guy named Greg Richardson, and she's asking him all kinds of questions. She wants to intern there, and you know, they're talking back and forth. He enters the elevator. She grabs his tie. There you go. As the elevator goes up, he's choking to death because she is holding on to that tie with a iron grip, let me tell you so. She kills Mr. Greg Richardson. Okay, she is in Paddington. She goes to a hotel. The hotel clerk hands her a note, tells her, you know, to go to room, 207. So she goes there, and right there's Raymond. And they're having a back and forth about, how the job went. And V. V is all bubbly. It was like, it's all good. Okay? Quit sweating me. Okay? I know how to do my job. We cool. All right? I took care of it. So Raymond was like, you better pump your brakes. All right? I'm not Constantine, okay? I'm not here to coddle you. I'm not here to baby you. You are spoiled. You running around here acting like this, acting like that. That needs to stop. So, of course, he didn't say it in those exact words. So he brought up Eve, okay? And he was like, yeah. He said, oh, and by the way, your friend, looking for a new girl. And so, of course, V was like, get out of here. I'm not buying that. And so he was like, oh, you better buy. There's a new girl in town. They call her Ghost. Okay, so, Eve is not even thinking about you right now. Okay, all her focus is on the new girl in town. So, I guess she didn't think about you that much. So, of course, Raymond knew that would get under, V's skin. And it did. V did not like that one bit, okay? How dare Eve think about someone else. Because, let's be honest. V want Eve all to herself. So, V, she makes a phone call to Eve's husband's, school where he teaches. And when she makes the phone call, she sounds like a little girl. And she was like, hello. So, she sounds like a little girl. She makes a complaint to the school about Eve's, husband. And so, you see her outside of the school. Of course, she is in, a different get-up. New wig, new clothes, new glasses, all that stuff. She's in disguise. And there's Eve's husband. And Nico, is that his name, y'all? Is his name Nico? I think so. And he's standing there talking to another teacher, a co-worker. All right, let's talk about Eve. All right, so Eve, of course, as we seen last week, she found out that Constantine is at the HBIC's house. So she's there, she's talking to him. She was like, what are you doing here? What is your goal in all of this? What are you getting out of this? And he was like, what are you talking about? I'm just here visiting a friend. She was like, cut the crap. Do you know where Valinelle is? And he was like, absolutely not. Why would I know where she is? He was like, leave that girl alone. Okay. Haven't you understood who she is now? She's like a hungry caterpillar. Okay. That's what she's like. That book, The Hungry Caterpillar. She gets into your brain and she just digs and digs and feeds and feeds and feeds. She will literally love you to death. Okay? Leave that girl alone. That's what you do. So, later on, Constantine is at lunch or dinner at the house, and he's talking to the HBIC, Carolyn, and he's like, where's my family? You know, we've been friends for a long time. I just want to know, are they all right? Are they dead, alive? And honey, that did a little switch in Carolyn's head. And she was like, okay. We are having a lovely time. Why you want to ruin it? Okay. Do not bring them up again. All right. I'm not going to tell you where they are. And if I don't know, it's none of your concern. Okay. Let's end this conversation now. So we have Eve, and Eve is investigating the murder of Greg Richards. And she finds it odd how he was murdered. And of course, you know, she's thinking that this is not Villanelle's MO. You know, there's something about the way he was murdered. So they start thinking, well, maybe Ghost and Villanelle are working together. You know, maybe they're part of the same organization. So, of course, they're throwing that out there. They just got everything. They just don't know what to think, okay? So, later on that night, Eve, she comes home, and her husband was like, you know, we have a function at school. And so she was like, oh, you know, give me 5 minutes. I'm going to get real slutty for you. He was like, the sluttier, the better. So, before she gets to the school, she's walking down the sidewalk, and who's behind her? V. You know, V's all done. Looks real cute. She got on this little red wig, and, you know, she got this little outfit together, kind of like a 70s vibe. Cute little glasses. She made a homemade necklace. I mean, Villanelle was ready. Okay, so Villanelle is following her, and Raymond comes up out the blue. I mean, out the blue. And he's like, excuse me, can you tell me where this is? Because, you know, he was asking for directions. And Eve told him directions. And so Eve went on. Raymond turned around. And he looked at Villanelle like, girl, if you don't take your butt back to that hotel, you better. So V, she walks off. So Eve goes inside the school looking real pretty, a real pretty sexy, you know, blue tight dress. And she walks up to her husband, who's speaking to a no good heifer. Okay. A no good heifer. Just, this woman was so rude and disrespectful. Okay. She was not trying to hide her flirtation towards Eve's husband in front of Eve. I mean, basically, she might as well have said, I want to sleep with your husband. You cool with that? So, of course, there was like conversation back and forth, and then the woman blurted out that someone had made a phone call to the school and complained about Eve's husband. And Eve was like, what? What happened? Why did you tell me? He was like, don't even worry about that. Okay. All right, don't even worry about it. So, the trollop, the little harlot, the slut, she walked off. So, Eve was like, oh, okay, so you got it like that, sir. Okay, you got women up here, you know, openly flirting with you in front of your wife. And so he was like, man, she was nice to you too. She was like, yeah, she was condescending. That's not nice. So they go back to his bedroom, and she's talking all sexy. She's moving all sexy. And child, they was about to get it on, honey, right there on the desk, right there on the teacher's desk. And she looks, and right there's an apple. Okay, right there's the apple. She was like, where did this come from? And he was like, what? He was like, I don't know, it's an apple. So she gets all paranoid. She runs, she sets off the fire alarm. So everybody had to go outside. And, of course, her husband, Miko, is it his name? Miko, whatever, was like, you know, maybe it was just an apple. She was like, no, she's here. You know, Eve is paranoid as heck. Eve has done got in her brain, just like the hungry caterpillar, okay? Every little thing, you know, she's getting in it. So, they're outside. Now, inside of the school, the little harlot, the slut, the teacher, was downstairs smoking. And here comes, you know, Villanelle. And Villanelle, you know, is talking about the school. And she was like, yeah, I seen you talking to that good-looking teacher. He's attractive. And so the harlot was like, yeah, he's a little cutie, you know, but he's married. And so she was like, oh, what difference does that make? you know, Villanelle instantly overly manipulative. And so she manipulated this girl into going for it. You know, hey, forget that he's married. Okay? If you want a piece of that action, this is what you got to do. So outside, you know, of course, it's a false alarm. Her husband's frustrated. He's upset, you know, because again, Eve is focused on something else other than him and, you know, their marriage. So he was like, whatever. So he walks off. And so she was like, don't be like that. And coming up behind her was Valinelle, honey. And she slipped something in her purse, in Eve's purse. So, of course, Eve is like, man, you know, I was wrong about this, you know. Maybe it was just an apple. So she was like, oh my God, I'm losing my mind. So Eve is just stressed out, okay? And she talks to Kenny and she was like, listen, okay, I want to find out where Constantine's family is being held. And Kenny was like, absolutely not. And she was like, listen, I want to find out where Constantine's family is being held because, you know, she could use that as leverage to find out where, you know, Eve is. And so Kenny, being Carolyn's son, is like, I'm not doing that, okay? We don't need to know where Constantine's family is. I'm not doing it. And so Eve just broke bad. Eve said, I'm not asking, okay? I'm telling you, okay? I'm your boss. And you're going to do it. You know, Eve was very mean to Kenny. And I was like, oh my God, Eve, calm down. Okay, maybe you should have got laid or you wouldn't be all tensed up. So, it hurts Kenny's feelings. But Kenny comes through. Kenny finds out where they're hiding Constantine's family. So she goes back to Constantine and she said, listen here, listen here. Now, I know where they're hiding your family. You tell me where Eve is. And you know, we'll work like that. We'll get it together, okay? So anyway, long story short, Constantine goes back to the hotel where V is and where Valinelle is. And so when Valinelle comes back, the hotel clerk says, oh, you have a special visitor. So of course, she's cautious. She's taking her time because she don't know who's around the corner. She don't know who's in that room. So Constantine, the door's open. Constantine comes around the corner and Valinelle takes off running, jumps into his arms, hugs him, and she was like, oh my God, I miss you. Very strange relationship because as you know, she shot Constantine. So he's like, yeah. He was like, listen, okay, Eve and the crew and some cops are on their way up here because, you know, I told them where you at. So she was like, what? And he was like, listen, just work with me, okay? So here comes Eve. Here comes the cops, you know. So Valinelle is looking through the peephole. And she has this look on her face of such joy. She was so happy to see Eve. I mean, pure joy. So they go to one, you know, hotel room. And of course, no one's there. And so Eve steps out in the hallway and she looks through that door and she just senses, you know, Valinelle on the other end. And she was like, she's in there, she's in there. So they run down there, kick in the door. And of course, V and Constantine are no longer in that room. They had went out the window. And so Eve is just like so frustrated. She screams. She grabs a drink. Everybody in the room was like, child, what is going on? So later on, now Eve did all this behind the HBIC Carolyn's back. So how mad do you think Carolyn was? Honey, Carolyn was pissed. And so she looked at Eve. She said, don't you ever go behind my back and make a decision like that ever again. Okay. Constantine's gone. Okay. V's gone. All right. And you don't bargain. Okay. You don't do that behind my back. Now we don't know where they are. Okay. Don't make that mistake again. So of course Eve, devastated, deflated, defeated. So she finds finds out that she was not going crazy at her husband's school, that V was there, and V had slipped some lipstick in her pocketbook. So later on that night, you know, Eve, she pulls out that lipstick and she starts putting on the lipstick. Very pretty color, by the way. She starts putting on the lipstick, and what's inside that lipstick? A blade. And it cuts Eve's lip. Eve is bleeding, and Eve had this, you know, smirk, this look on her face like, touche. Touche. Well played, Valadel. Well played. And so we see Constantine and V riding off into the sunset. So that's how it ended. Alright guys, let me know what you think. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you next week. Bye.